Hey friends, it's Laurie. Let's go make some Coastal Farmhouse Thrift DIYs. I'm starting my first thrift makeover by using this wooden box that I picked up on the side of the road. You know how people put things out for free? Well, I saw this and I picked it up not knowing what I was going to do with it, but I'm actually going to start my first project with it. It has 3 holes in the bottom, so I think at one time it was probably attached to something, but I'm going to use those 3 holes to my benefit. I always love to put legs on flat objects to give them height, and I found this monster bag of assorted wooden pieces, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well, at a yard sale for $3. As I was digging through, I found some wooden candle cups, and so I thought those would make perfect legs for this project. Adding the legs on is super easy. I'm using my STARBOND thick glue that I use for all my wood projects, and I actually have a link below in case you'd like to check it out. I'm turning the box over, and then I'm using some of my STARBOND thick glue, and I'm adding it to the top of each of the candle cups, and then I'm placing one in each of the 4 corners. This glue sets up so quickly, I think in about a minute they were set into place. Now that I have my legs secured into place, I'm going to give the outside a complete coat of gray acrylic paint. While I'm painting, I wanted to share that today I am participating in a friend hop, and it's being hosted by Sonja from the Domestic Diva DIY. She has an amazing channel with tons of different DIY crafts, and I'm going to link that below so you can go on over and check her out. If you're following along on the friend hop, I'll have the next surprise friend linked below in my description. With the outside completely covered and dry, I'm now going to touch up the inside. I'm going to keep it the same black, and I'm just going to use some black acrylic paint and touch it up. While that's drying, I'm going to make a handle for each side, and I'm using 6 of the tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. Once again, I'm using my STARBOND thick glue, and I'm attaching 2 of the tumbling blocks side to side. After I make my 2 sets, I'm then centering a tumbling block in the middle of each. In addition to my 2 handles, I'm also using one of the 3x7 wooden planks from the Dollar Tree. And now I'm back to painting, and I'm giving all 3 of my pieces a complete coat of white acrylic paint. With all 3 of my pieces dry, I printed out the word bloom on my Cricut, and I'm going to attach that to the wooden plank. Now that the 2 pieces are attached, I'm going to add my bloom sign to the front of my project using some E6000. I added some to the back of the sign, and then I centered it on the front middle of the box. I let that set up for a couple of hours, and then using the same E6000, I attached a handle on both sides. I let the first handle set up for about an hour before I added on my second. When I attached it, the box was at an angle, so I ended up using a slice of painter's tape to help hold it in place until it dried. Now that my bloom box planter is complete, it's time to add in the flowers. I found these cute white tin buckets at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to flip them over and drill a drainage hole in the bottom of each. To finish up, I placed some white impatiens into each of the buckets. I placed each of them into my bloom planter, and with that, my makeover project is complete. For my second makeover, I'm using a glass milk bottle that I found at the Goodwill. It was $1.99, but it was yellow day, so I got it for 99 cents. To paint it, I'm making my own chalk paint. I'm measuring out about a tablespoon of some white acrylic paint, and then I'm adding in a heaping teaspoon of some baking soda. And then I mixed it together really well. When I was done, I then painted my entire milk bottle with my white chalk paint. I made sure to let it dry completely, and I'm going to add some stripes onto it using some painter's tape. I decided where I wanted my 2 stripes to be, and then I just wrapped the tape around the bottle. When I was done, I then took my pencil and I followed around the 2 tape lines. I decided to add 2 stripes to my project, but you can add as many as you'd like. When I was done, I then removed the tape, and I have my 2 stripes that are ready to paint with this pretty coral acrylic paint. This part of the project was super easy. I just used my paintbrush and I followed in between the pencil lines. After I painted my first stripe, I then painted my second. Now that they're both dry, I'm going to embellish the bottle by using this wooden anchor that I picked up at Michael's. I think it was 79 cents, and I'm going to paint it on both sides with my navy blue acrylic paint. While my anchor is drying, I'm using some of the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and with my hot glue gun, I'm going to glue it around the top of the milk bottle. If you don't have any rope on hand, you could always wrap around some twine or ribbon, or even just leave it plain. I'm wrapping my rope around 3 times and then stopping when I come to the middle center of the bottle. I'm then sliding on my anchor till I hit just about the first stripe. When I have it in place, I then wrap the rope around the stalk and then down over the arm. I then use my glue gun and attach the anchor onto the bottle at an angle. With my anchor in place, I'm knotting and cutting the rope at about 2 inches. To finish up, I added in some white Dollar Tree flowers, and with that, my striped coastal vase is complete. For my third makeover project, I found this floral vase centerpiece at a yard sale, and I paid $2 for it. It doesn't work with my home colors, and I don't want to use it as a floral arrangement. The flowers on it have definitely seen better days, and so I thought I would just use it as a pretty coastal accent piece in my home. It has a tin base, or so I thought it was tin, and I swear they cemented the flowers in because I couldn't get them out for anything. I really had to work on it, but I did eventually get them out. I cleaned the outside really well, and then I used my black acrylic paint, and I only painted over the textured areas. So while I'm painting this, I'm thinking this is great and it's going to work into my plan, but guess what? It didn't, because apparently this isn't tin and it's some type of weird metal. So the paint was not happy. It did dry completely, but let's see what happens next. Now that the paint has completely dried, my plan is to give it a complete coat of white acrylic paint. So I start painting the white and I'm thinking, yep, this is looking pretty good, exactly what I was hoping for. And then before I knew it, all of a sudden, the white, it was turning into gray. And I'm thinking, oh no, what is happening here? At this point, I kind of realized, you know what, this isn't made of tin, it must be made of some type of other metal, and I really should have just given it a coat of primer before I even started painting it. Once that coat had completely dried, I then gave it one more coat of white acrylic paint and I let it set up overnight. In the morning, it had a pink tinge to it and it really looked terrible. So I had one more idea before I completely gave up on the project, and I decided to give it a coat of white Rust-Oleum spray paint. Thankfully, that did the trick and I ended up giving it 2 complete coats, but that finally covered up all that other stuff that was going on. Now I'm using a piece of old sandpaper and I'm just rubbing it against the textured area so that some of the color, whatever that may be, is showing from the underside. The lesson I learned on this project is I probably shouldn't assume I know what type of metal I'm working with and just start off with a primer coat. Now that it's finally done, I'm adding a piece of buffalo check ribbon. I found this at Michael's and I'm just wrapping it around the top and tying it into a simple bow. When I'm done, and to give this a little hint of coastal, I'm painting this sweet little starfish with my gray acrylic paint. When it was dry, I used some E6000 and I simply attached it to the front. And with that, my Coastal Farmhouse decorative watering can is complete. Thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. I hope you had fun making these thrifted DIYs, even the one that I kind of had a problem with. If you're new and you haven't yet subscribed and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come back and hang out with her again, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.